Production funding for Flying Squirrels Insider is made possible in part by
Secure Testing Services, providing 24-hour on-site drug and alcohol testing for businesses.
and by
Clean water is one of our most valuable resources. Conserving it should be all of our responsibility. Remember every day to make every drop count. Wash full loads, take shorter showers, turn off your faucet. Water, use it wisely. Let's commit to conserve.
It's been a great run in Richmond. You know, this is the 10th year of Flying Squirrels baseball.
Man, you sure look like the guy that pitched for the Baltimore Orioles. And I'm like, yeah, man, I closed for the Orioles. He said, well, don't you guys have a game today? And I'm like, no, man, we play at 7:05. So I cast a few more times, and I went into my wallet where I keep my schedule and look at it. 12:05, and it's like 12:45. I get to the ballpark, it's in the 6th inning. I'm in the ballpark like probably 15 minutes. Boom, I'm in the game.
You're one of 329, soon to be 330, 31, 32, 33, 335 Hall of Famers ever in the world, which is a pretty big deal. So let's put it together for Lee Smith.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome to the 8th season of Flying Squirrels Insider and our first episode of the year. I'm Trey Wilson and he's Jake Eisenberg, and we're excited to bring you everything Flying Squirrels baseball throughout this 2019 season. Scratch to win free Flying Squirrel stuff. Text FSI to 63975. Message and data rates apply. Mobile services provided by Opt-in Technologies. Today, Utility Buddy from the City of Richmond Department of Public Utilities shares information about Richmond's natural gas safety program. The smell of natural gas is a pungent odor like rotten eggs. If there is a strong rotten egg odor, leave the area, go where the smell is no longer present, and call 911. Jake, baseball's back. Opening homestand series in the books over the past weekend, and it was a successful one for the Flying Squirrels to kick off the 2019 season.
You can't really ask for a much better start than Richmond got against the Hartford Yard Goats this past weekend. A 3-1 start, best mark in franchise history to start a season.
And also the first time that the team started 3-0 to open up a season through its first 10 seasons, and that's the big thing this year, 10 seasons. We're celebrating the Flying Squirrels' 10th season and a whole list of promotions to go along with that. We're going to talk about that later in the show. We will hear from Parney. We will hear from manager Willie Harris, who is back for his second season, only the second manager ever to return for a second season, and lots more as we roll through this first episode of the 8th season of Flying Squirrels Insider. We should take a look at some of the players who are on the roster this year, some of the players that make up this 2019 Flying Squirrels roster, at least initially. And we start by talking about the strong starting pitching that we saw in this opening series against the Hartford Yard Goats. We saw Logan Webb open up on opening night, one of the Giants' top pitching prospects. He had a little bit of trouble with walks that night, but he put up an effective start for his 2019 debut.
Yeah, 5 scoreless innings from Logan Webb. He got the win on opening night. You really can't ask for much more from a guy who last year was in his first full season back from Tommy John surgery. Walks might have been part of some opening night jitters, at least that's what pitching coach Glenn Dishman said. But when you work around those walks, you strand everybody, go 5 scoreless. That's what you need on opening night.
And then on Saturday, Connor Menez made 15 starts last year for the Flying Squirrels. He's back this season. He had a very strong first start of the 2019 season as well.
Yeah, 5 scoreless innings for Connor Menez as well. And one thing with him that was especially impressive, his slider was great. Against lefties especially, it was running away from those left-handed hitters. There's not a whole lot you can do with that if you're standing in that lefty batter's box.
Garrett Williams, left-handed pitcher, he's back from last year. He started the second game of the doubleheader in that opening series, and he had some struggles in 2018, probably didn't put together the season that he thought he was going to have, but his first outing this season was dominant in the win.
Yeah, last year kind of split the season between the bullpen and the starting rotation. One of his biggest issues was with walks, but he went down to the Arizona Fall League after the season ended, really gained a lot of confidence there. And what we saw from Garrett Williams this past weekend, 4 scoreless innings, 5 strikeouts. Most importantly, though, no walks.
Yes, that was very good to see from Garrett Williams in his first start of 2019. There's another member of the starting rotation who we saw in the first Sunday game of the 2019 season with a lot of Major League experience in Brandon Beachy. He was with the Atlanta Braves for a while, with the Los Angeles Dodgers for a while, and then injuries kind of derailed his progress. He was out of the game for a little bit and then came back and pitched any ball last season. He made his first Flying Squirrels start as he tries to get back to the major leagues. That was on Sunday, and I think that it showed a lot of promise.
Yeah, first appearance in affiliated baseball since 2016 for Brandon Beachy. This is a guy who's endured not 1 but 2 Tommy John surgeries, and to see him go 4 innings, really work on all of his pitches, sure, there was a lot of rust for Beachy. He admitted that himself, but it'll be exciting to watch his comeback up close and personal at the Diamond, at least for the beginning of this season.
Yeah, that's definitely a story that we'll want to keep an eye on, see how long Brandon Beachy is with the Flying Squirrels and see if he can make his way back up to the major leagues. It will be the first time since 2015. A returning member of last season's bullpen, Ryan Halstead. He had a really strong season last year, but he's back with Richmond to open up 2019 for a 3rd season, and he's off to a good start as well. One
of the most impressive things, at least from my perspective, about the pitching staff early on has been the gas from the bullpen. Ryan Halstead included. He was firing fastballs in 2 scoreless innings, and here's an interesting thing. Willie Harris thinks that he's the best dancer on the team. Didn't see that one coming, but yeah, Ryan Halstead, best dancer.
We'll hear some more about who Willie thinks fits the best categories on the team a little bit later on in the show. Speaking of velocity, keep an eye on the radar gun when Melvin Adon comes into the game. He's one of the hardest throwers in minor league baseball, and we'll regularly see him hitting triple digits.
Yeah, if you're a fan of the Diamond this season and you see the radar gun out in right center field have 2 zeros on it, that's not 0 miles an hour. That's 100 miles an hour for Melvin Adon. He's going to be an electric arm all year.
Another member of the bullpen for the Flying Squirrels this season who has a pretty interesting backstory on how he got to this point in his career is right-hander Kieran Lovegrove.
Yeah, Kieran was born in Johannesburg, South Africa, moved to the United States when he was just a young kid, started playing baseball, grew up loving cricket, now playing baseball, spent the last couple of years with the Cleveland Indians organization, and he made his Giants organizational debut just the other night. He actually pitched out of a huge jam for Richmond in Game 2 of that doubleheader, entered with the bases loaded, nobody out, and only allowed 1 run.
Yeah, and the 1 run they almost didn't even give up. It was a close play at home plate, but that was the only run that the Flying Squirrels actually allowed to the first 3 games of the season. The pitching staff was very strong. And Kieran Lovegrove, a Futures game participant last year with the Flying Squirrels to open up this season, and he was a big part of that. From the pitchers, we now shift to the position players. There's one familiar face in the lineup or on the opening day roster this year who was with the Flying Squirrels for a couple of seasons up through 2017 in Chris Shaw. He made his major league debut last year, had a great season in AAA last year, but he's been put down to AA this season because of some depth in the Giants system.
Yeah, Chris Shaw was maybe one of the biggest surprises to open the season on the Richmond Flying Squirrels roster. When he made his 2019 debut just a couple of days ago, it was actually 2 years to the day that he hit an opening day home run for the Richmond Flying Squirrels. But he's a guy with major league experience that's on this Richmond roster. Not only is he going to help himself propel himself back to the major leagues, but he's going to be a guy that some of the younger players look to for some advice because he's been there before.
Another player who has some Eastern League experience that we've seen in past years, though not with Richmond, is former Reading first baseman Brock Stassi, who made the major leagues for a little while with the Philadelphia Phillies. He was actually the Eastern League MVP in 2015, back in AA now, but he's come up with some big hits early on in this season.
Yeah, Brock Stassi's got a .400 average early on this season, 51 games for the Phillies just a couple of years ago. Another guy with veteran experience on this Richmond roster.
And then some returning experience from last year's team. Third baseman Jonah Arenado is back. He missed some time with a shoulder injury last year, but played most of the season as the Squirrels' everyday third baseman. He's back to open up this 2019 season.
Yeah, fans sitting on the third base side of the diamond this season are going to have a front row seat to some great defense from Jonah Arenado. We've already seen it through the first few games this season. A couple of great throws across the diamond, a couple of double plays that he started that have been in key situations. There was that play in Game 2, the doubleheader on Saturday, where he tried to get the runner at home. His throw was so on target, it hit the runner in the back. Not too much you can do about that, but he's been impressive to watch defensively early on.
And of course, his brother is Major League third baseman Nolan Arenado. Another player on the Flying Squirrels this season with a brother in the major leagues is, of course, Jason Hayward's brother with the Flying Squirrels this year, Jacob Hayward, and he's come through in some big spots early on in these first few games.
Game 1 of the doubleheader on Saturday is the first one that comes to mind. He got the game-tying hit to send the game into extra innings where Richmond eventually walked it off. So he's going to be a key piece of that outfield this season.
Keeping it going around the outfield, I know that one of the most exciting players that we're probably going to see throughout this season is Joneshwi Fargas. He might be the fastest player on this opening day roster, and we've already seen his speed play a factor in some of these early Flying Squirrels wins.
We saw a diving catch this past weekend. We've seen him speed around the bases on a double. He's a guy, interestingly enough, that Willie Harris, and we'll hear from him later, thinks is the most underrated player on this Flying Squirrels roster.
That is pretty interesting because there are a lot of players who I think can really make a name for themselves in this 2019 season. And another player that we've taken a look at so far in the first few games of this season that has joined this Flying Squirrels opening day roster is Heath Quinn, who came through with the walk-off hit, the first walk-off winner of the 2019 season against Hartford in the opening weekend. Heath
Quinn's going to be one of the better prospects in the Giants system that we're going to see this year. Had a bit of an up and down year last year with the San Jose Giants in the California League, battling some injuries, but once he's fully healthy this year, he's a guy that we can expect to be a major contributor. We saw it with the walk-off sacrifice fly in game 1 of that doubleheader on Saturday.
That's just part of the opening day roster for the Flying Squirrels this season. It also includes reliever Fernando Abad, who's got 8 major league seasons, Dylan Davis, who's come through with some big hits off of the bench, Ryan Howard, who's back from last season, Connor Overton, who is from, of course, right here in the Richmond area, Matt Wynn, who is from Richmond as well. So a lot of exciting players on this opening day roster for the Flying Squirrels, and we've seen it turn into success on the field. An exciting roster of Flying Squirrels players to open up the 2019 season. They're off to a great start on the field, and we're off and rolling here with the first episode of 2019 of Flying Squirrels Insider. More coming up in just a bit.
As part of minor league baseball's Copa de la Diversion initiative, the Richmond Flying Squirrels are embracing and engaging with the local Hispanic and Latin American community right here in Richmond with a brand new identity, Las Ardillas Voladoras, taking flight every Friday night this season.
Los vientos imparables y huracanados de cambio están soplando desde el sur. Traen un colorido legado de destreza atlética y pura emoción a The Diamond.
Esto no es únicamente un evento atlético, esto es y forma parte de la vida.
La lucha libre es un verdadero fenómeno cultural. Su legado cuenta con luchadores mega estrellas como El Santo y Blue Demon. Las máscaras de superhéroes que usan son sus tarjetas de presentación y son venerados como héroes absolutos en su México natal.
Oh sí, luchadores son nuestros héroes, son como dioses.
En asociación con la Copa de la Diversión de las Ligas Menores de Béisbol, The Flying Squirrels traen un nuevo tipo de entretenimiento a sus noches de los viernes. Y con él, un equipo recién formado, liderado por nuestro propio héroe local.
Este es el verdadero hombre de Richmond, el que toma un alto vuelo.
Estamos orgullosos de presentar Ardillas Voladoras de Richmond. Ahora las noches de los viernes en Richmond son más emocionantes.
announcing our Copa identity for 2019. Every Friday night, we will play as the Ardillas Voladores. There's also going to be good growth opportunities for our Spanish-speaking players. Because our Spanish-speaking players have never really felt as comfortable going into the schools and doing the community work that we do as a franchise, which is a huge part of what we do.
The Flying Squirrels partnered with the Topps Baseball Card Company to introduce the Make Your Pro Debut contest last year, and Tim Watts of Maryland was the winner. And his prize, he got to be a squirrel for a day. We're here in Richmond with the winner of the 2019 Topps Make Your Pro Debut contest, Tim Watts, who came down from Maryland, and he's a member of the Flying Squirrels for a day. Part of the prize that he got, he gets to sign a little one-day contract.
We always say that we're not in the baseball business, we're not in the entertainment business, we're in the memory-making business.
What we try to impart with this program is the culture of minor league baseball. The cool thing about this contest is we get to integrate a collector into that world for one day. You know, whether it's just wearing the uniform, sitting in staff meetings, going to the batting cages, meeting players. This is all part of the process of getting to the big leagues, and it's really a team effort. And so to get somebody involved with that for one day is a big joy for us.
It's been awesome. It's been a lot of fun. Everything's been first class. Everybody from top on down has been really welcoming.
So with that, Will, you ready to sign him up? On behalf of the Richmond Flying Squirrels, manager Willie Harris. Let's hear it for Tim.
Tim, thanks so much for coming down to Richmond. Congratulations on winning this experience, and I hope that it's been a blast.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Back at the Diamond for the first episode this season of Flying Squirrels Insider. He's the skipper, Willie Harris. I'm Jake Eisenberg. Willie, what are you looking forward to most about this season?
I'm just looking forward to the guys developing and hopefully getting better as players and as young men and moving on with their lives and moving on with their careers and moving up to higher levels.
Who's somebody that we should keep a closer eye on this year?
I'd say Ryan Howard, Jalen Miller. We have a few guys here who really deserves a lot of credit, and they don't really get all the credit that they deserve. We have a backup catcher in Jane, who I think is a sleeper. He's batting in a 2-hole for us tonight. Hopefully those guys are sleeping on him. Just looking forward to all of these guys really to get better.
All right, let's break down this roster a little bit. I'm going to give you a word. You're going to tell me the player that fits that word. So the first one I'm going to throw at you. Who's the tallest player on this
Riggs.
team? Nolan Riggs? Yeah,
Nolan,
he's what,
not
6'7"?
even close. Not even close. Riggsy.
All right, fastest player.
Fargus.
He can fly, can he?
He runs pretty well. Really looking forward to seeing him taking some extra bases this season.
But who was faster, you or him, when you were his age?
By far, me.
We got to get you guys in a race now.
Not even. He'll blow my doors off now, but back then he couldn't run with me.
All right, who's the prankster on the team?
The prankster. I have to go with Jonah Arenado.
Yeah?
Sleeper prankster. He does little sneaky stuff from time to time.
You got one you can share with us?
No, I can't share that on camera.
Yeah, that's probably for the best. All right, last one. Most underrated player on this team.
Underrated. In my heart, I'm going to go out on a limb and say underrated, Fargus.
Fargus? All right, so he's the fastest and the most underrated.
Yes,
you heard it here first, folks. Keep an eye on Janeshri Fargus and the rest of the Flying Squirrels. Going to be an exciting 10th season here at the Diamond. He's the skipper, Willie Harris. Will, thanks so much.
No problem. Peace.
The 2019 season is the 10th season of Richmond Flying Squirrels baseball, and we're excited to celebrate looking back at the first 9 seasons of the Richmond Flying Squirrels. And with part of that, today we're joined by Anthony Opperman, who was one of the original hosts of this very show and one of the Flying Squirrels' original broadcasters. He was gone for a little while. He's back now as Executive Director, Marketing and Promotions. Anthony, thanks so much for coming back on Flying Squirrels Insider for the first time since 2012.
Yeah, it's great to be here, Trey. Appreciate the invitation, and it's really hard to believe that, number one, Flying Squirrels Insider is in its 8th season, but that the Flying Squirrels franchise as a whole is in season number 10 this year.
And with that 10th season, there is a pretty action-packed promotional schedule that you guys have been able to compile and put together to celebrate the first decade of Flying Squirrels baseball. And with part of that are the promotional section of 10 memorable past promotions.
Yeah, well, and it's a credit really to the staff throughout the previous 9 seasons and the creativity that was shown over those first 9 seasons. And it was an opportunity to bring some stuff back that, in talking to former staff members, things that they really enjoyed and that were memorable to them, and I think memorable to the fans. Among them, the human cannonball making a grand return to the diamond after a season off a year ago. Back in 2010, then General Manager Bill Papierniak, that time known as Wild Bill, dressed in a wrestling singlet and wrestled an alligator pregame. So we thought, hey, why not bring back the same guys from Gatorland? We're not doing alligator wrestling this year, but there will be a reptile appearance with the guys from Gatorland. One memorable one from 2011, we gave away 1,000 Nutsy Gnomes. So we thought, hey, 10th season, go big or go home, right? So let's give away one life-size garden gnome. It is literally taller than our manager of fun, Matt Weiss.
Yeah, it's almost as tall as I am.
So it's a 6-foot life-size Nutsy gnome that we'll be giving away on the final Saturday home game of the year. There's also mini wrestling as well. And we attempted to give away a pony at one point. We ended up giving away a pony party. However, this year we wanted to give away 1,000 miniature horses, but we'll do so in bobblehead form. So it's, like I said, it's been a lot of fun kind of going back, revisiting some of the promos of the past, and to have the opportunity to celebrate some of those past promotions that the previous staffs did.
Over the last decade, the Flying Squirrels have certainly become notable for some of their off-the-wall fun and creative promotions, and this year will be a fun look back at some of the most memorable ones from the first 9 seasons of Flying Squirrels baseball. Also, on this, around the same theme, we're going to have promotions this season with the Richmond Flying Squirrels around 10 memorable past players.
Yeah, and obviously there have been some big names that have come from the Boulevard to the Bay, guys that have gone on to contribute to World Series champions, and I think the very first player that you think of that's synonymous with the relationship between the Flying Squirrels and the San Francisco Giants is shortstop Brandon Crawford. We certainly wanted to honor some of those memorable former Flying Squirrels, but we wanted to do so in that unique, creative Flying Squirrels way. So coming up later here in the month of April, we'll have a Brandon Crawford hat hair giveaway. So you can look like B-Craw with his nice long flowing locks and the Brandon Crawford emoji atop his hat. We'll have some other kind of off-the-wall promotions around our 10 Memorable Past Players series. Actually, on July 7th, we'll recognize former Flying Squirrels first baseman Brandon Belt. He's affectionately known, he was when he made his Major League debut, as the Baby Giraffe. So we have a Baby Giraffe hat giveaway. Brandon Belt Baby Giraffe hat giveaway coming up on July 7th. There was that memorable moment when Hunter Strickland came out of the bullpen on the 4th of July wearing an American flag vest. And so we're going to have a Hunter Strickland patriotic t-shirt giveaway to go along with that. And then one of my personal favorites this year, as part of Lunar Landing Night and the celebration of the 50th anniversary of man landing on the moon, we're turning Stephen Duggar into an astronaut and giving away a Stephen Duggernaut bobblehead on Lunar Landing Night, which is July 20th, the actual date that Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin first set foot on the moon. Typically we don't do giveaways on a Saturday, but it was the actual date, so we had to do that. the Stephen Duggernaut bobbleheads. In addition to, the team will be wearing astronaut jerseys, which will auction off to benefit the Math Science Innovation Center.
So much fun with the Richmond Flying Squirrels and the promotional schedule this summer. You can find the full promotional schedule at squirrelsbaseball.com and come out and join us at the ballpark for all the excitement that we have going on with this 10th season of Richmond Flying Squirrels baseball. Anthony, thanks so much for coming back and joining us on Flying Squirrels Insider, your grand return after a few years.
Yeah, thank you, Trey. It's great to be here with you and celebrate the first episode of the 2019 season.
That's a wrap for the first episode of 2019, the 8th season of Flying Squirrels Insiders, as we celebrate 10 seasons of Richmond Flying Squirrels baseball. We'll talk to you again in a couple of weeks.
Production funding for Flying Squirrels Insider is made possible in part by
Secure Testing Services, providing 24-hour on-site drug and alcohol testing for businesses. And by
Smell gas? Act fast. Don't just stand there. Leave the area. Get out. Go where the smell is no longer present and call 911. Making you aware, keeping you safe. We're Richmond's Natural Gas Safety Awareness Program.